Good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagriti Classes. We were doing chapter 8 of class 9, class 10th, that is how do organisms reproduce. So this video lecture is for class 10th and we are doing chapter 8, that is how do organisms reproduce, and we are at the end of this chapter. We have discussed everything about the reproduction in plants and reproduction in animals, that is humans. Then we have discussed you have two categories of reproduction, sexual and asexual reproduction. So now in the last class, I have told you the anatomy or the structure and functions of the male reproductive part and the female reproductive part in humans. Okay, I have told you the different parts we have seen their diagrams, and then we have also studied the process of fertilization. How do fertilization occurs in humans? So the location or the site for fertilization is fallopian tube or oviduct. How does that fertilization occur? Whenever an egg is released, a mature egg is released from the ovary every single month. So this egg travels the female reproductive tract. Let's suppose you have the ovary and then you have this sort of, the fallopian tube or oviduct. So whenever an egg is released from the ovary, this ovary contains thousands of immature eggs, and every month one single egg gets matured and the matured egg is being released. Now this egg is known as the female gamete. This is also known as ovum or ova. And next you have that the sperms which are released from the testis. The testis present in the male reproductive system is responsible for the production of sperms, and from there the sperms travels through the vas deferens, epididymis, every part, then it is released out with the through penis, and after this what you have is that sperm combines with this female gamete ovum and it leads to fertilization or fusion between both these male and female gametes. And after fusion what you have is there is a formation or production of zygote. So after the fusion of ovum with the sperm, you have fusion that is known as fertilization, and here a zygote forms. And when the zygote forms, we discussed that this zygote now undergoes repetitive continuous division and it forms a large number of cells inside it. Remember that the zygote is initially a two-celled structure, Then the zygote divides, undergoes continuous division, and at last you have a stage in which large number of cells are formed as a result of continuous multiple divisions. And this kind of cell which is containing large number of cells is known as embryo. So zygote formed in the fallopian tube or oviduct, the zygote travels. The zygote, while traveling from the fallopian tube to the uterus, it gets changed into embryo. And this embryo gets embedded in the thick muscular lining of uterus. Uterus every month prepares its lining that thicker, So the lining of uterus in females becomes thick every month, so that after fertilization it can embed this embryo inside its walls, and in turn this thick lining contains blood vessels. So these blood vessels provide the nourishment to the embryo. And in turn, when fertilization occurs, this uterus thickens its walls, the muscular walls get thick, they get filled with the blood, and this blood is required so that the uterus can easily hold the embryo inside it, and then it can provide the nourishment to the embryo. And after a period of 8 to 9 months, the matured embryo, that is the child, is given birth. So this is the process of reproduction in humans. Now we'll be studying that once this embryo gets embedded, this is your uterus. So once the embryo gets embedded in the thick uterine wall means wall of uterus. So once this embryo gets embedded in the thick uterine wall, now this uterus has to supply nourishment to the embryo. And a tissue which is known as placenta, it is a disc-shaped tissue which is present in the uterine wall, in the wall of uterus. and it is responsible for providing nourishment to the developing embryo. So today we will be discussing about placenta. Okay, so placenta you can also see in the figure. This disc-shaped tissue which is present in the wall of uterus, this is known as placenta. So for studying placenta, what you have is placenta. This is a disc-shaped tissue, and this placenta is present in the uterine wall. It is present in wall of uterus. Okay, and what are the functions of the placenta? Or if we talk about the structure of placenta, this placenta is disc shaped. On fetus side, fetus is after the development of embryo, it is known as fetus. Okay, further, first we have the formation of zygote. After the formation of zygote, when the zygote undergoes continuous division, it forms an embryo, and when the embryo gets nourishment, now it is known as fetus. So on the fetal side, this placenta, it contains many finger-like projections which are called villi. Numerous villi are present. And what are the functions of this villi? These villi, they increase the surface area. They help to increase the surface area for absorption. And these villi are what? They are the finger-like projections. So villi are the finger-like projections. The placenta, which is a disc-shaped tissue, on the fetal side it contains numerous villi, and on the mother side this placenta contains two things. It contains numerous villi as in the case of fetus, but it also contains some blood spaces, and the function is these villi and blood spaces, they help to provide nourishment to the growing fetus or to the developing embryo here. So this placenta is in turn a disc-shaped tissue which is present as a connecting link. This serves as a connecting link between the fetus and mother, and in turn all the nourishment from the mother to the fetus is supplied with the help of the placenta. With the function of providing nourishment, it also serves to collect all the waste materials from the fetal cells or from the fetus, and then the waste are then supplied back to the mother's body. So for the functions of placenta, you have a flow chart here. Okay, so first function of placenta is the protection. The next function is providing nutrition. Nutrition, you can also write that it provides nourishment to the growing fetus. Then the third is it helps in respiration, exchange of gases. Then it also helps in excretion, which means this placenta, it helps in removal of waste by collecting the waste products, or you can call it nitrogenous waste, from the fetus, and these waste products are then transferred back to the mother's body, from where these are being excreted out. So this is again a very important function of placenta tissue. And then you have hormone production, that is placenta is useful for producing many different kinds of hormone. In your higher classes you will be dealing with the structure of placenta in detail, that is it is covered with 2 to 3 membranes. You will be dealing with the name of the membranes, their structure, and then you have to also know the names of the hormones which are being produced by placenta. So now this was a short description for placenta. whatever is given in your books, we have covered this. Now the next topic is what happens. The topic is given in the form of question even in the books, that what happens when the egg is not fertilized. So we have to study the process which happens when the egg is your female gamete, which is even known as ovum. So when the egg, which is the female gamete, is not fertilized. So the answer for this would be that when the egg is not fertilized, what do you mean by the egg is not getting fertilized? It means there is no kind of sperm which has entered the female reproductive tract. So we have that the first condition would be, that is, no entry of sperms into the female reproductive tract. So because of the lack of presence of sperms in the female reproductive tract, you do not have any kind of fertilization or fusion. The next point which we'll read here is, once you do not have the entry of sperms or the presence of sperms in the female reproductive tract, no kind of fusion or fertilization occurs. This means no kind of zygote, embryo and fetus would be formed. But you have to remember that every month either of the ovary, that is one of the ovary, releases an egg. So every month one egg from either of the ovary gets matured and is being released out. But this egg, the egg which is released, it survives for a day, okay? It approximately survives for a day or so, and then it gets destroyed. Now you have two conditions here. First one is when the egg is being released out from the ovary and it fuses with the sperm. Then after the process of fusion of egg and sperm, that is male and female gamete, you know a zygote would be formed, and this zygote would ultimately develop into the fetus or the child. But when this egg is released out and it does not encounter any kind of sperm, then this egg can survive for approximately one single day. And after this, it starts to get destroyed or disrupted. So when the eggs get disrupted, we also saw that during reproduction, during the formation of zygote and embryo, as each ovary releases one egg every single month, it means the uterus also thickens its lining or its muscular walls for implantation process. Implantation is the process when the embryo gets embedded into the uterine walls or the muscular walls of uterus. So the uterus, or you can write the thick lining of the uterus also starts to destroy, and this thick lining, as I discussed earlier, it is having many kinds of blood vessels. So when this thick lining tends to destroy, then we say that the blood along with the mucus releases out through the vagina. Okay, so we have the process that when the egg is not encountering or it does not find any kind of sperm, then this egg survives for a day and then it tends to get destroyed. And when it tends to get destroyed, the thick lining of the uterus, which was prepared for nourishing the embryo, But because no kind of fusion or fertilization took place, no kind of embryo gets formed. And when no kind of embryo forms, then what happens? The thick lining also tends to destroy or disrupt. And because this thick lining has many sort of blood vessels, so when this thick lining will destroy, then the blood along with the mucus is being released out through the vagina of females. And this process, that is the flow of blood along with the mucus through the vagina in females, is called as menstruation. So this you can be given a direct question that you have to define menstruation. So what is the process of menstruation? The release of blood along with the mucus out from the body through the vagina in females is called menstruation. And this process of menstruation occurs when the egg does not encounters any sperm. Or you can write, if you are asked in what condition menstruation occur, so the answer would be menstruation happens when the egg, that is the female gamete, does not undergo fertilization process. And then there are some facts which you have to remember about menstruation. The first fact would be this menstruation, it occurs every month in females. Okay? So this cycle occurs every month in females, that is after every 25 to 28 days, females undergo a process of menstruation, because every single month one mature egg is being released by ovary. There would be two conditions. If this mature egg which is released, it fuses with the sperm, then fertilization would occur and zygote, embryo, fetus would be formed. But if this egg which is released by the ovary, it does not encounter sperm, then it would flow out with the uterus lining, that is with the blood along with the mucus outside the vagina. So this was the process. Okay. Now such process is present in vertebrates, but you do not have any process like this in invertebrates. It is not very common. So now the last topic which we have to discuss is about reproductive health. So this is the last topic of the chapter, reproductive health. In this we will be discussing some important points, that is contraception methods. So we will be discussing reproductive health, and in this we will be discussing some topics, that is contraception methods. So for making a flow chart, or we will be writing the different types of contraception methods, and then you have to study them in very brief. Okay, you are being given 2 to 3 lines for each contraception method. So what do you mean by the term contraception method? Contraception method are the methods which are used for preventing the unwanted fertilization or the unwanted pregnancies. So for defining contraception methods, these are the methods which are useful to prevent unwanted fertilization. Fertilization means the process of fusion which occurs between the egg and zygote. So contraception methods are the methods which are useful to prevent the unwanted fertilization. Now you have many different kinds of contraception methods. So talking about the first one is mechanical barriers. So mechanical barriers means you are externally covering. These include external coverings for penis or the vagina. Okay. So mechanical barriers are the type of contraception methods which are used as an external covering for either penis or for the vagina. And the useful advantage of these methods is they stop the entry, or they do not allow the male gamete or the female gamete to enter in the reproductive tract. So these methods do not allow, or you can either write they prevent. So these methods do not allow the entry of male gamete and female gamete in the reproductive tract. So this you should know about mechanical barriers. Mechanical barriers are a type of contraception method, that is, they prevent unwanted fertilization. Now these are the external coverings which are used either for the penis or for vagina, and once these get covered, then they do not allow the entry of the male or female gamete. And once if the male gamete or the female gamete would not enter the reproductive tract, then there is no possibility for fertilization to occur. So this was the first kind of contraception method. Now we will be discussing a second type of contraception method which comes under the category of surgical method. Now you have to study two kinds of surgical methods. The first one is vasectomy and the second one is known as tubectomy. So for surgical methods, you have two different kinds, that is vasectomy and then the next is tubectomy. So the method of vasectomy, it is used in males, while the method of tubectomy is used in females. Okay, so these are surgical methods. Vasectomy means when the vas deferens in males is being cut and then it is tied together. Okay, the vas deferens, which was the tube-like structure, it is being cut and it is tied together surgically, or you can even say it is ligated. Ligated means it is cut out and it is being tied out. When the vas deferens is male is being cut and tied surgically. Now, if you remember the diagram of the male reproductive tract or male reproductive system in humans, you will remember that vas deferens was a tube which carried the sperms from the testis, and it has the secretions of prostate seminal glands, and it carried the sperm to the penis, to the last part. But if we tie the vas deferens, if the vas deferens would be cut, then it would not be able to pass the sperms. Let's suppose this is your testis. So this vas deferens would not be able to pass the sperms. This is vas deferens to the last part, which is penis. So once if I cut the vas deferens, the entry of the sperm, the transfer of the sperms would not be possible. And once the transfer is not possible, how does fertilization can occur? So we say that no kind of fertilization would hence occur. And tubectomy is such method, the same surgical method in females, in which the fallopian tube, in this the fallopian tube is ligated and tied out surgically. Okay, and once you know the fallopian tube is a very important part for fertilization, it is the site or location for fertilization. If the fallopian tube is ligated or cut and tied, then it would not allow the entry of sperms, and once the sperm will not meet the egg because the fallopian tube would be tied. If the sperms enter also in the female reproductive tract, it would not be able to meet up or fuse with the egg, and if fertilization will not occur, then there is no chance of formation of zygote, fetus, anything. So this is the second method of contraception. For the mechanical barriers, you can also have an example that which serves as an external covering, that is condoms. Condoms, they serve as the mechanical barrier, they serve as the external covering. Now the next method, if we discuss, the third method would be pills. Pills are the medicines which prevent unwanted pregnancies. And how do they prevent the unwanted fertilization or pregnancies? They alter the hormonal balance. And once they alter the hormonal balance, they change the time for maturation of eggs, or you can say they delay the maturation of eggs. They delay the process. They delay the process of maturation of ovum or egg, which is your female gamete. So if the sperms reach the female fallopian tube or oviduct, but the egg which is not hence matured, so when the egg would be not released out of the ovary, but the sperms will reach, is there any chance of fertilization? No, because when the sperm will not encounter any kind of ovum or egg, then the sperm would tend to destroy in that particular fallopian tube, and hence no kind of fertilization would occur. But these pills, they contain many side effects also, because they change the hormonal balance of complete body, and because of which you have much side effects. So these were the methods that is we discussed. First were mechanical barriers, then surgical methods. They are also good. What are the advantages? You would be asked advantage and disadvantage of every method. So surgical method, they are advantageous for long run. Okay, that is if someone does not need any kind of fertilization, then these surgical methods are quite good and advantageous. But what are the disadvantages? If we talk about the disadvantage, then skilled person are required for performing such kind of surgeries, because if there are any errors would be made in such surgeries, then it would cause much disturbance in the complete working of body. So you have to learn, or you have to make sure you know the advantage and disadvantage of every surgical or different types of methods what you have with you. And these are the potential methods of contraception to prevent the unwanted fertilization, or you can say the unwanted pregnancies. Now one more contraception method, that is using different kinds of devices is being given in the books. So the fourth category would be use of different devices for contraception, and the example which is given is loop, or you can say copper T. So copper T is a T-shaped device which is inserted in the uterus. Copper T, this device is inserted in the uterus of females, and in turn, when this is inserted in the uterus, it does not allow the entry of sperms. So we can say it prevents the sperms from reaching the fallopian tube. And in turn, when the sperms will not be able to reach the fallopian tube, no kind of fertilization or fusion can occur. So these are all the contraception methods which are required to prevent the unwanted fertilization or unwanted pregnancies. Okay, these are required whenever, and by these methods, you can prevent any unwanted fertilization. But these are even being misused. So the misused for this method, the most important problem is female feticides. So what do you mean by the term female feticides here? By the misuse of contraception methods, a very important problem which has arisen is female feticide. So you can be asked a disadvantage of misuse of contraception method. So female feticide is the process of killing the girl child before birth. So this increasing problem of female feticide, which is killing the girl child without its birth, this has disturbed the male-female sex ratio, okay, in the country. So we do not have to use these misuse these contraception methods, because they create many disturbance in the society like female feticide, and this disturbance had lead to a decrease in the male-female sex ratio. So this is again a very important problem faced by the society. Now this completes your chapter 8, that is how do organisms reproduce. We have completed each and every topic of this chapter. Now if you see the exercise questions or the in-text questions, please do solve all kinds of questions given in the books, okay? In your NCERT, all the between questions, the in-text questions given, and then the questions, you have many less number of questions at the exercises. So if you have followed all the videos of the chapter, you will be easily able to complete all the questions. And then also if you have any sort of doubt, you can ask us anytime. Thank you for joining the class today. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you.